Hello everyone, this is ponderonweather coming at you with another update. And this update, we're talking about a major winter storm with some heavy snow and an ice storm. So before I do get started, if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right. So let's get started here. Let's take a look at the overall watches and warnings. And you can see out west, we've just been inundated with some very wet conditions with flood watches along the coast and some very heavy snow in the interior regions and the mountain regions. We're still dealing with those winter storm warnings out there. And then we also have a heavy high wind warning later on today as that we extend into New Mexico and to portions of the panhandle where they could be picking up was 60-mile-per-hour gust in that region. And over here, extending into the more or less into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 30 to 40-mile-per-hour gust later on today. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But we also have those winter storm watches and warnings for a good chunk of Dakotas, getting into Minnesota, getting into Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then all up the northeast coast. And this will just extend as we get throughout the day later on today. So, but yeah, back behind you, let me show you what's going on out west. I mean, they just had some very heavy snow out in Mammoth Lakes, out at the ski resort out there. I mean, check that out. 97 inches of snow in just 3 days time frame. I mean, 113 all the way up to the summit. So you guys in the Northeast are going to be getting some snow, but definitely not that much, right? So let's kind of walk you through the maps and how all this is going to play out. That system is finally on the move from the west coast that dumped all those feet of snow up in the mountains. That'll be sitting over the Four Corners region as this morning on Saturday the 30th. And I'll be dumping some rain out ahead of that system as this low pressure kind of gets its act together. And you can see the red lines that depicts the warmer air, and the blue lines that depicts the colder air as this is lifting off from the southwest to the northeast. So as we extend throughout the day, this will lift and kind of deepen. We'll start bringing some heavier rains into portions of Missouri and down further south. But then we'll have that transition line where we could have a little bit of ice glazing out ahead of it in Iowa, getting into portions of Illinois. But that will quickly change over to all snow in those regions as it extends into Minnesota later on this afternoon, and some heavier banding starting to take shape over portions of, say, the Chicago region as this system kind of really deepens and really gets stacked together. And you can see the darker blues depicting 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates by then. And so I really do feel like there's a good swath of a good 8 to possibly 10 to 12 inches in this area. So places like Chicago, that is on the table for you. And even in Indy, you could be on the borderline to say 4 to 6, but then north of there, anywhere from a good 8 to 10 inches I expect. And then this will continue into Ohio as we get throughout the day on overnight on a Saturday by then. But as we get into Sunday morning, you can see this low pressure still off into the Ohio Valley, dumping some heavier snow. This will extend into Wisconsin by then, to extend into Michigan by then, but it'll start putting on the brakes as it feels the ridge up to the north. And you can see this cold air damming setting up over the northeast, where that we've had a lot of Arctic air. This is a 1032 millibar high pressure, so we've got a lot of cold air ahead of this system to work with. And where you're going to see that transition zone from that warm air trying to push and the cold air damming, unfortunately, that's going to set the stage for an ice storm in this region down here by the Carolinas, getting into portions of Virginia as we go into Sunday morning. So there's going to be some definitely treacherous travel, but that snow will start to be inundated into West Virginia. Places like DC are going to get hit hard with this storm as this continues to extend off the northeast. And so what we're trying, the setup is this initial low will over time fade and set up another low off the coast by Virginia, and as it does that, we'll start to make that transition where we're still going to be that dealing with that some ice and even accumulating ice by then. So it's definitely be some treacherous travel, and power lines could be an issue. Power outages could definitely be an issue. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But man, the snow component is going to be really heavy with this event as this continues moving across. Later on going on into the afternoon on Sunday, getting into Jersey, getting into Philly, with some heavier snow, getting into Pittsburgh, some heavier snow by then as this continues to lift off to the northeast. So let's kind of zoom in. And so as we zoom in overnight on Sunday night now, you can definitely see there's snow on the backside from that initial low trying to fade and this other low trying to form off the coast. And as it does that, it's still going to be ringing out some snow on the backside from, Illinois to Indiana to Ohio, portions of, Michigan by then. And that'll extend up in some heavier snow now into southern PA, central PA, eastern PA as it gets along the coast. And this start to deepen as this thing starts to get cranking off the coast. And this, as it gets cranking and dumping some of that heavier snow on the backside, this will start to really deepen over Jersey, over Philly, over New York, over the Long Island, and you'll start getting into those heavier snows where easily you guys along the I-95 corridor could pick up, a good foot from this snow. Yes, major cities, a foot in this from this event. New York, Philly, Jersey. I mean, this is all on the table for you guys of picking up probably a foot of snow from this event as this continues lifted off to the northeast. And as it continues, man, this low will start to deepen and become the primary low. And man, we could really start to feel the effects of this low dumping some heavier snow, if not 1 to 2 inch snowfall rates in this region by then. So that's where I feel like you could pick up some of your heaviest snowfall totals by then, and Jersey, getting into Rhode Island, all up along the coast, along this region, as the heavier totals from this event are mainly going to be somewhat coastal versus interior, like we've seen so many events. But as this continues lifting off to the northeast, I mean, yeah, we're talking by the time overnight on Monday, that'll be setting the stage for just an all snow. So we could have a little bit transition to maybe a rain and snow at some time during the day on Monday, but that'll just be once the sun falls down, and then it'll just be all snow by then over a good chunk of the northeast. So this area will start being inundated with some heavier snow as this continues lifting off to the northeast, and it really doesn't go anywhere that far. I mean, look at all the blue lines. I mean, this is all cold air trapped on the backside. So all this is going to freeze and cause treacherous travel. And so, yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those days today. Go out and get everything you need, because it's going to be tough to get around as we go throughout the day on Monday, and especially into Tuesday on Groundhog Day. We'll be seeing a snowstorm by then. And as this continues lifting across, we'll also have a wind component to deal with as well. So there could be portions at a time where we could have sustained winds for long durations of time. Places like Philly, 30, 40 mile per hour winds for a good chunk, 6 to 10, 12 hours. So we could be picking up almost blizzard-like conditions in this area. And these are some gusts by the time we get into, Monday night. And you can see anywhere from 40 to 50, upwards to 55, close to 60 mile per hour gust in these regions of Massachusetts, getting into Connecticut to Rhode Island and all along the Boston area, as this continues lifting off into the northeast. And as it continues, that heavier snow will transfer up into Maine by then. So then now you guys will be inundated with in Vermont, New Hampshire, up into Maine. Now you'll start be getting those double-digit totals starting to add up in a big way. So, but this won't actually even go out up from the northeast until later on Wednesday. So this is a kind of a long duration event we're going to have to be dealing with over the next several days. So here's the latest European model. You can kind of see some of the snowfall totals where it basically starts around Des Moines, Iowa, and that'll just start to extend and kind of really pick up in eastern Iowa. And then as it hits, Illinois, that's when I could easily see a 10 to 12 inch swath, starting to set up shop over portions of Chicago, getting into, south of Chicago, and then lighter amounts up north into, Wisconsin. And then it won't reach too much further up in Michigan because it'll be hit by that ridge. And so that'll keep it suppressed. You can see this banding. So it'll keep it suppressed and push it a traverse across from west to east. And as it does, that's where you'll see that demarcation line of some very heavy snow setting up shop over this region. But as the secondary low starts to really deepen, then we'll start to seeing some of those heavier snowfall totals extend into southern PA, central PA, and especially like Jersey. I mean, this system has a capability, obviously, to overperform and underperform in some of these areas, but a good 10, 12, even upwards to 18 inches could easily be setting up along the I-95 corridor for Boston to Philly to New York. I mean, all those major cities are going to be inundated from this event. I mean, here's the latest Canadian model as well. Still kind of shows kind of the bullseye elongating right here in the Ohio Valley, and then it kind of picks back up again over, Jersey, getting into southern PA, central PA, eastern PA. This is the kind of the bullseye where a lot of the models just keep inundating and say, hey, we're going to be picking up upwards to 20 inches in some of these spots. I mean, we could be picking up isolated spots of 2 feet. It's not out of the question to have somebody in this region to pick up possibly 2 feet from this system as this will continue lifting across. But the ice component is going to be something we're going to have to be dealing with as well. You could be picking up a little bit of ice where that initial start of that transition into Iowa and into Illinois. But the main event of the ice storm will be setting up over North Carolina, getting into Virginia and portions of West Virginia. So that's the ice storm that you're going to have to be on the lookout out there. But if you take a look at just all the blends of the models, and you can kind of see definitely, heavier snows out in the Northwest, but you can see where the heavier snows are going to be picking up. Again, still picking up in those same exact spots where there's along the coastal region is going to be the highest totals from this event that's coming up for the next several days. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.